Hello YouTube, Siegfried Chulainn here. Um, Today I'm actually doing a very personal video. This is not about gaming. This is actually more about my past. Something I've been thinking about doing for a couple of months. And after actually watching some videos of people coming out themselves, I figured that I want to come out as well. Um, I've been coming out kind of to my friends and certain people in ways, finally being able to handle ways and realizing things that I didn't realize until I was older. Um, and I figured this is going to be a good personal therapy for me as well, to get through it and get it out in the open, but also for anybody who may have suffered from the same thing or had something happen similar, maybe help them. So I guess let's get started. Um, when I was 20 years old, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now, at that time, it was actually still categorized in Axis 1 and Axis 2, but I've recently found out that they've just merged it to kind of borderline personality disorder. Uh, so you might be, for those of you who don't know borderline personality disorder, it's kind of a weird name because it doesn't describe anything about the disorder at all. Like, the disorder doesn't match what actually happens. Um, a big part of it is depression. Depression is a big part of it. Um, And honestly, the depression comes more from, I think, for me personally, feeling empty inside when I do get it. You also have intense rage, but not for long periods of time. It's outbursts. And on top of that, the outbursts as well, they're really random. It's just, it's, the smallest thing can just be very effective and set me off. Um, you have self-harm, self-mutilation, um, an over-intense imagination, and a lack of trust and paranoia, separation anxiety, anxiety in general, just a lot of problems. So, what causes borderline personality, I think, is where I want to start first. Borderline personality can be caused by both genetics and environment, and in my case, both. Um, my entire life, I've always been a very sensitive person. I was always extremely sensitive. Um, just, I cried easily. Um, I just, I thought it was normal. And of course, I was always called a crybaby for it by everybody. Everyone called me a crybaby. Stop being such a crybaby. Talking brothers, parents, whatnot. And what they never understood is that that wasn't possible. If you have if you're dealing with someone with borderline personality, especially at a very young age, about the age of 5, they can't control those emotions. They can't. And honestly, the last thing you want is for them to hold that emotion in. You want those emotions to come out, because holding those in create more devastating problems, such as my case down the road. My childhood was, growing up, I thought it was normal. I was like, this is normal for everybody. But as an adult looking back, it was it was pretty horrible. I had a big family. I had I had 3 brothers and a sister. I was the middle child. I thought, being the middle child, this is what the life of a middle child was. And that life was pretty much nobody wanting you around. My brothers didn't want me around. My little siblings didn't want me around. My parents had a weird, like, I remember being in my teens and just not understanding why, or actually even being before my teens, not understanding why I was old enough to do this, but not old enough to do that. Um, I was old enough to clean, but I wasn't clean like my older brothers, but I was still young enough. I had to go to bed with my younger siblings. Never made sense to me. Like, if I'm old enough to clean and do all this work, why do I still have to go to bed with the ones that aren't old enough to clean? And I mean, when I was younger, I thought, okay, maybe I thought it was because I was a middle child. I thought it was unfair, and I never realized why. But I thought that's what middle children always dealt with. My parents, man, my parents are fucking failures. I'm just gonna say it, like both of my parents are fucking failures, and like I didn't realize that as a kid, but as a parent myself, because I have three kids. I have a daughter who's 15, who sadly I don't, I'm just starting to get a relationship with, thank God, but that's due to a lot of shit that I'll get later on in this video. And then I have two young boys, one who is going to be 6 next month, and one who just turned 2. As a parent, I can see definitely where my parents fucking failed. And a big part of that is, and a big part of that is the fact that they never actually stopped to think. I got punished more times than I can count for nothing. And my brothers got away with more things I can count because I said for them to shut up. You know what I mean? And like, again, as a kid, you might be thinking, okay, you get beat up, that's normal. As a kid, I thought that was normal until I realized to the degree of my beatings. And when I'm talking about getting beat up, I'm not talking about, just here and there. I'm talking, I've been thrown across a room. I've been picked up and slammed on my head. I've been, kicked in a corner and kicked nonstop. And the cause of it always was my brothers deciding that I was a faggot, calling me a faggot, me telling them to shut up, and then getting my ass kicked. That was a normal thing for me. And, I mean, that's, as a kid, I thought that was normal, I was like, this is normal life, this is how it is. But as an adult, I look back and I'm like, I was the only one in the family that happened to. Nobody called my younger siblings that. I was the one who was picked. And my older brother was the only person in the house who had his own room. Everybody was allowed in his room but me. I was the only person in the house not allowed in his room. And when I did go in his room on the very rare occasions, and I mean very rare, I could count them on one hand, and we played games together, I was the only one who got a controller thrown at my head. I could not win in a game. I just couldn't win in a game. And every time something occurred, the reply was, well, you shouldn't have said that. I remember walking home once from, I think it was 2nd grade, 3rd grade. Again, walking down the street with my brother and his friends, and him again, sitting there calling me a faggot, calling me a faggot, calling me a faggot over and over again. And I had enough. I had enough, and I just looked at him and I said, at least I don't still wet the bed. Because he was 8 years old and still wet the bed. At which point he beat the shit out of me. I went home with a bloody nose, and the reply was, well, you shouldn't have said that. They didn't care at all the fact that he called me a faggot like 8 times. My parents never cared of how much I had been pushed before I would finally say something back. And that's why I say my parents are fucking failures. If you are a parent and you got one kid who's constantly seems to be the problem, you might want to take another look at that kid. Now, I've tried to get over this, and I've tried to talk, but every time I've talked with my mom about it, the reply was always, there's always been an excuse. Oh, well, they were such great liars. Oh, this, oh, that. Oh, I didn't know. I'm so sorry, but this is why. And the only thing I've ever wanted honestly, from my family was an answer. But every time I've talked to them, the answer is always, well, I shouldn't have done that, but you did this. I shouldn't have done that, but they did this. When I was 4 years old, I was actually, and this is honestly probably the hardest thing I've had to come out with, and I started to come out with is, I was actually, and I mean actually, sexually abused when I was 4 years old. This wasn't something small. It's not something that, was innocent. And it was by one of my older siblings, who would have been 7 at the time. And this, a lot of people might be like, well, he was young. No, this current occurrence, what happened at 7 years old, you wouldn't know how to do it, and if you knew how to do it, you would know it's wrong. It's not one of those innocent things where it's completely innocent. He knew what he was doing. I was 4. I had no idea. And it's always bothered me to this day because it still bothers me, yet he completely just ignores it. And I've always wondered, I was thinking about it a couple days ago why he always, got mad when people called him gay. And it kind of occurred to me that he might actually be gay and he just is in the closet. Because he got furious when that happened. And again, I got my ass kicked once because somebody said I'd said that when I never had. I don't want to dive too much into my past as a child, but it definitely was fucking horrible. And I would not actually get therapy or counseling until I was 18 years old. Well, 17 years old. Which wouldn't seem odd except for the fact that both my older brother and my younger sister were seeing therapists. And it wasn't like I never showed traits. I showed traits. I wrote in my journal, which everybody saw, that I wanted to kill my family. If you think a 10-year-old writing they want to kill their family is normal, you're fucking retarded. And I say that because that was my mom's reply when I had mentioned that to her. Why didn't you ever give me therapy? You saw that. Was, well, I did that and it's just, I just figured you were venting anger. No, saying I want to kill somebody is not venting anger. I should have been seeing a therapist when I was 10 years old. I would not see a therapist until I'm 17 years old, and I write a death threat. And I don't write a death threat in the form of, I'm going to kill you. I write it in I've always been very intelligent. I've always been very good with words. And I write it in a very menacing way without making it an actual death threat and being able to deny that it's a death threat. At which point the school would tell me I can't return until I seek therapy, in which I'm made to see a therapist. And of course I would go to my ex-girlfriend, my very first girlfriend ever, because I had no idea how to handle relationships, and my entire life had been, just never got along with the opposite sex. Like, I always thought, oh, if I write if I do this, if I write poems, blah, blah, blah. But I was bullied the majority of my life from, in a lot of different ways. From a lot of different people, and both by girls and by my brothers and their friends. I remember one time actually being invited. I think I was in 6th grade. Got invited to a girl's birthday party. Was so excited. All the boys knew I was invited. Got there, was told I wasn't invited. Most embarrassing thing in my fucking life. And that bitch may have been 12, but she can still go fuck herself today. Because that was some bullshit. It's fucking, that was like some Mean Girls movie bullshit that I could never believe actually occurred. And I still remember it today. Thank God all my friends are there, all the guys are my friends, and just even her boyfriend was like, dude, she's such a bitch. But, finally I had to see a therapist. And a big issue with borderline personality disorder is when we go through emotional stress or emotional drama, we try to find an outlet. And there are multiple outlets we'll use. Spending money, self-injury, and sex. All these are impulsive behaviors. Which leads to my first ever really stupid impulsive behavior, having sex. And when you're impulsive, you don't use a condom. And which would lead me to meeting somebody who I didn't know, but had actually had a big crush on me for a while, and had actually made a bet with her friend to see who could sleep with me first. She won. She also was not a virgin. She would eventually end up getting pregnant, thus my 15-year-old daughter. But even through all of this, while I started seeing a psychologist, Not once did I get to actually go see a psychiatrist. My mom never actually took me to get me diagnosed. Never. I'm like, we're talking. I had said I wanted to kill my family. I had made a death threat to somebody at the school, and all I saw was a therapist. And he was a good guy. I really liked him. He was a great guy, by the way. I really liked him. But I should have been seeing a psychiatrist. I showed signs of homicidal behavior. I had a fascination with serial killers. I had a fascination with that life. I never mutilated animals. Like, I did have a conscience. But I also did want to kill people. Not like random people. Like, my anger would get so much I wanted to kill that person. And I meant it when I said it. That's not normal. I mean, like, if you think that somebody feeling that way is normal, again, you're dumb. Part of borderline personality comes down to, when it's untreated, comes down to not knowing how to handle your rage. I mean, it's not a small amount of rage. It's pure rage. I mean, it's if you don't know how to control it, it's uncontrollable rage. And it's rage because you feel hurt. It's not you're mad because somebody cheated off you. It's you feel hurt. You're in pain. And you're in so much pain, the only way that you can express that pain is to make them feel the same pain they made you feel. I remember my death threat. For example, if someone breaks your heart, you're going to break their heart back. But literally, that was my death threat. You rip my heart out of my chest, I'm going to rip yours out. That was my death threat. Because that's how you feel when you don't get any form of treatment, when you don't get any form of actual medication, and you're not brought to a stage where you're going to be stable. Again, the reason I'm coming out with this is because I know people out there probably suffer from the same thing I do. You've probably gone through this in your life, and you've probably been through the exact, this might be for you, might be like, holy crap, I've done this myself, I've been through this, or I'm going through this. And there's a reason at the end of the video I'm doing this. It is very personal, and I know it probably doesn't fit on my channel, but I want to talk about it. My impulsive behavior would continue. I would, again, sleep with that girl multiple times, never with a condom, and like I said, she eventually got pregnant with my 15-year-old daughter. This would, of course, lead to problems because not only was I not very smart, I picked somebody who had a worse mom than me. And, oh my goodness, is she still horrible. I would end up finishing college, I would end up finishing high school, and of course I would end up enrolling into the military, not knowing I had borderline personality, by the way. Just enrolled in the military, told them the truth, here's what happened. In which the military psychiatrist said to me, was it psychiatrist, psychologist, maybe psychologist, that if I had those urges again, I needed to immediately get out. Well, it didn't take long for those urges to come back. I think 3 or 4 months. I was walking up and down, because when you're in the Army, you have what's called fire guard duty, and that's 2 of you are up, one sitting at the front desk, and one is pretty much just walking around. For about an hour, you walk around and you just make sure everyone's in their bunks. It's to train you to pretty much be on guard duty. And there was this person, I hated him so much. I knew exactly how I was going to kill him. I knew it. I knew the exact way I would do it. And when I was actively planning how to do it, I realized if I don't say something, I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to spend the rest of my life in Fort Leavenworth. And that wasn't worth it for me. So the fastest way to get to see a counsel, a medical profession there, is to say you're suicidal, which I wasn't. But by saying it, you get immediately to the medical attention area. So of course, as I was suicidal, I was put in, on suicide watch, which is the most embarrassing shit ever. Didn't really fucking care though. Went with another one of my friends who was suicidal, which he wasn't. And so all the privates going there claiming they were suicidal. When I realized, dude, if I say I'm fucking suicidal, I'm not getting out. So when the major asked me what my problem was, I told him the truth. You send me back to that platoon, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. And you know, this point, the major's eye kind of changed. He looked at me, and I think he called him. I think it was did he call him a colonel this time or a lieutenant? I remember. Another person came in at this time, and okay, how are you doing it? I told him it's easy. You take your rifle cleaning rod, put it to his temple, take my boot, smash it right into his head. He's dead. At this point in time, they knew I'd actually planned how to do it, which was more alerting. But the military still doesn't like to let go people. They still weren't committed to getting me out. And again, if they had sent me back, I'm serious. I mean, I would have done it. Like, I wasn't suicidal. I hated that guy. I'm sorry, but man, you talk about fucking my 16-year-old daughter, I'm gonna fucking kill you. That was my thoughts back then. And so I was, you know, I mean, like, they told me, tried to bullshit me. Well, the only hospital open is one for the criminally insane. So they said, send me there. You don't want to send me back, I will kill him. At which that point, they magically found a civilian bed. The army is full of fucking liars. Like, I really, like, when it comes to our troops and the people on the battlefield, I have high respect for them. When it comes to the leadership, they can fuck off. They don't sacrifice themselves like the people on war. The funny thing is that the drill sergeant that I had, and I mean, I fucking hated him too, just thought I was bullshitting. No idea, like, I fucking hated him as much as he did. So like, and no one knew at this time I didn't even know what I was suffering with. And then of course you hit those civilian doctors who are just this hospital is just like they're seeing 25 patients a fucking minute, and everyone's bored. Everyone's bipolar disorder. It's fucking stupid. I of course was diagnosed bipolar, which was so damn wrong. And finally, when I got back, I started seeing a psychiatrist. Finally, it took my psychiatrist one meeting to be like, borderline personality disorder. That's what he has. One meeting. It took one meeting, and he said he will commit suicide in 3 months. 3 months later, I attempted suicide. And when I attempted suicide, I don't mean I used some fucking ibuprofen or I hung myself with the shoes. No, I mean I had just had my medication refilled. I was on 3 different medications. My sister had hers refilled. My mom had hers. I knew the way the medical lockbox was. I opened it. I took everyone's medicine. And if you don't think mixing 5 different psychiatric medicines is going to kill you, then you don't know what that does. When you overdose, what happens is, and this, by the way, this is how you can tell if someone bullshits you on an overdose. When you really overdose, your body shuts down. To this day, I don't know how the first time, I should not be alive because I took all the medication and I went to bed. I don't even know how I woke up the next morning. I remember waking up because I had to leave early, sitting on the toilet, like in it, like like just as though I'd been like I was woken up like after 1 hour falling asleep, and my mom asking where my medicine was and if I took my medicine, and just me going yes, and then my mom realizing what happened and me being picked up. 3 steps down the stairs, I blacked out. I woke up, I think 2 days later, in restraints. I was in restraints, in a hospital bed, in restraints. It was like a full day. I was out for a full day, and after 8 hours, they couldn't pump my stomach. So all of that stuff stayed in my body. To this day, I don't know how I survived it. When you overdose, your body shuts down, muscle control shuts down. You can't even lift your hand over your head. There is no fucking way you can move. My legs couldn't pick me up. I crawled to the bathroom. I couldn't walk. So when I walked to the bathroom, I didn't walk. I crawled. I could not walk. Then, then of course I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks because you're in the psychic ward. You're in the psychiatric ward at that point in time. The second time, and this was actually, I think this was about the time when at this point in time I'd already been diagnosed and was on disability, so luckily my medical was covered. But I would attempt one more time, really attempt one more time with intent to die. And this one I will never know. I couldn't stay on the same medication because my body would reject it after what I had done. So I had a different medication, which again I overdosed on. It wasn't as much as the first time. And then I walked up a hill right afterwards and put music on my headphones and laid down, expected to die on that hill. It was in the middle of the woods because my parents lived in the middle of the woods. And I still to this day don't know how, but somehow I got up, walked down that hill, walked across the road. Again, I don't remember any of this, and laid down on the couch. And the only way this is just what I was told I did. I don't know this. This is what I was told. So to be perfectly honest, this could all be bullshit and they could have just found me and taken me to the hospital. I don't fucking know. This is just what I'm told. Because, again, I'm out this whole time. I remember laying down on the hill, waking up in the hospital, in restraints. I kicked a nurse in the head. Luckily, it was a male nurse, though. It was a big male nurse. He was a really cool guy, really nice. The other thing is, after you overdose, the effects don't leave you. You can't walk for a while. All 3 times I did overdose, because I actually overdosed a third time, and the third time wasn't a real suicide attempt, more an attention attempt, but it was worth dying for, but it wasn't the intent to die. That one I didn't overdose as much on, and I did call my ex after I did it. We were married at the time. That was more just for, I wanted something emotional, and that's why I did it. But I mean, all 3 times after, you're out for so long and your body is so damaged, you can't walk. It takes forever to train your body back to walk. It takes like almost 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days to be able to get up and walk. It's insanity. Now, I would not attempt that. The third time would be my last one. I would then at that point in time switch to cutting. But I wouldn't cut. I was smart about it. It's like, again, like, I was smart about my cutting. I knew if I left big scars, it would affect my life. So I never left scars that were super visible. I mean, I can see them if I know where they are, but they were never super visible. Luckily, after my return from Japan the first time, I would end up eventually moving in with my best friend and his mom. And she was, the first real mom I ever had. When I was in Japan, my mom was stealing money from my bank account and then asking me where my money was. And I found out later she was stealing it. She would withdraw it and she would use it, and then I wouldn't have it, and that was why I didn't have it, is she was fucking using my money that I needed. Because again, I was on disability. And when I got back and got back to the States, my parents, of course, were, no, you can't live with us. Nobody in my family would let me live with them. Everyone told me no. That's the family I grew up in. Like, they didn't fucking care if I had a place to come home to. I'd spent a year overseas, come home, and I wasn't allowed to live with any of them. They all pretty much, I could go fuck off. That was their opinion on me at all. And, it's like, I stayed with one friend for a month, and I had to find a new place, and I was just like, none of my parents would allow me, and I was just like, my friend's like, tell me where you go, I'll get you a bus ticket. And at that point in time, didn't want to be homeless again. I'd been homeless once and living in a van, and I didn't want to do it again. And I was contemplating suicide one more time. It was March 27th, and my birthday was March 31st, and that was my plan. I was just gonna end it all because it wasn't worth it. I had finally been looking at going into school. I was finally getting my life in order, and it was all crashing down on me. And I got a call from my friend, my best friend, who is honestly the closest thing to a brother I've ever had. And he had begged his mom, who didn't know me, to let me move in there. And she didn't know me. She didn't know who I was. And she finally agreed because he begged and begged and begged her. And this is a grown man, not a child. This is a grown man, 28 years old, begging his mom. She said yes. And so on my birthday that year, I had a place to stay. Again, I didn't know how long it was going to be for. I was super excited to see my best friend again. And the fun thing is when he got, when I first met him, he needed a place to stay. He stayed with me, actually, and my friend in our apartment. And me and him got really close. That was when we got really close. More in so many funny ass ways. It's hilarious. But his mom, me and her got along really well, and she became a second mom to me. And I'd been there, I think, for a month when I got a text from my mom that to pack up my things, and I needed to go back to Oregon. Jen was, my friend's mom was scared of me. She thought I was going to hurt her. She thought I was going to hurt my best friend. She was scared I was going to be violent towards them, which honestly really made me mad. It was for me. It was you've come out and you've given me something. You've given me stability. You gave me a place to stay. You gave me a roof. Why would I hurt you? And I was so upset. So I'm packing up, and when I'm upset, I don't talk. When I'm really, really upset, I just don't talk. I shut down. And my friend's mom was trying to get me to talk. Finally, I pretty much say, look at her and say, why would you ever think I would hurt you guys? He's my best friend. You guys, you've given me a place to stay, and why would I ever hurt you? And I found out at that point in time that the real conversation was, and this is a big insight on my mom. The real conversation was, I want to know what your son is suffering from so I can understand it and I can help him and I can get him the help he needs. That was the conversation that my mom then turned around and said, because my mom had said, just send him here. And she had said, no, he's doing fine. He's going to school. He's got his future started. I just want to know, what do I need to do? Because I was in university at this time. I started online university, or at a real university. And when I found that out, I was so mad at my mom. And I didn't know she was mad. She seemed very calm, walked off, and I looked at my friend and said, is she mad? And he looked at me and said, no, she's pissed. It's like, she's really pissed. She's so pissed off at your mom right now. I would stay with her for probably the next 3 years. I would have stayed the full time at university, but I got screwed over by the school I worked at, the school I volunteered at, when I said I couldn't volunteer as long anymore, because I was there from 7:30 till I was there longer than teachers were, and I wasn't paid, and I had to, my school load was getting even higher, so I couldn't do it all the time. All of a sudden, I was, they had some concerns about me. It was a really weird ass timing. And then I got completely blacklisted. I had to move at that point. But I would stay with her for the next three years, and over those 3 years, that is when I would actually grow. That's when I would, get over cutting, honestly get over depression, and get over a lot of just the outbursts that would occur with BPD, borderline personality disorder. And I would finish university. I would get my bachelor's degree in elementary education. It's actually it's a science bachelor's degree of elementary education. And I would be the first person in my family, an extended family, to actually go and finish university. Be the first one. No one else in my family has actually gone to university. I'm the only one who's done it. I would not get to see my daughter due to my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law, her grandma, spreading horrible rumors that if I had about me molesting her. Had I stayed, I never, ever would have. I would have been arrested for nothing. And kind of a little thing, man. Whenever you hear that shit, don't just jump on the train of, oh, it happened. People love to fucking falsely accuse of that all the time. And had it happened, I would have been arrested. There's no way I would be where I am now had it happened, because that shit is so easy to prove. DNA samples are so easy to prove. But for 13 years, my daughter had to be told how her father had molested her and abandoned her, which never fucking happened. Never happened. I've thought about my daughter every day for 13 years, and I've had to keep a distance watching her grow over Facebook and watching the people who fucking stole her from me have the life that I should have had with her. That one's pretty fucking rough, man. Like, that one's still pretty fucking rough. I'm not gonna lie. But I got to a point in my life where I had to decide, do I let it run me? Do I let it ruin my life? Or do I move forward and just hope someday she'll come out and find me? And then we can, that's when the growth can start. Funny shit is, my mom did the same damn thing. She did the same damn thing with my birth father. I met my birth father when I was 22. Nicest guy I've ever known. He's a super nice guy. Just love him to death. Such a nice guy. And my mom said very similar shit about him. Even accused him of molesting me, which never happened. I know he never did it. Meeting him, I know he never did it. So, again, before you guys, if you're watching this, man, before you believe those fucking accusations, man, they're not always true. And they ruin people's lives. I've lost 13 years of my daughter's life because of that. And she's had to grow up for 13 years with some fucked up memories that don't exist. Fast forward a bit. I'd finally finished my degree. I'd apply for my job in Japan, get my visa, and I'd come to Japan. And I'm where I am now. Currently, here's my life. I have 2 sons, beautiful sons. I'm married. I've been married for 7 years. I've been working at my school for about 5 years. I've been in Japan for about 7 years. I'm on my 5th year at my current company now. I've been in Japan for 7 years. We bought a house. My wife and I bought a house. It's a 3-bedroom house, 2-story 3-bedroom house. It's quite big, actually. My dream when I was 12 years old was to move to Japan, and I achieved it. And it was a lot of work. No, none of my family ever believed in me. Every step I made towards it, the bet was how long it's going to take till I quit, till I give up. But I didn't. I live in Japan. I have a house here. I have been working at the same company for 5 years. I have my 2 sons. I'm married. My life's not perfect. I mean, I'm not always happy, but I'm neutral happy at this point in time. There are times I still feel empty. I'm still very impulsive when it comes to money, and I still have a lot of impulsive behavior, as well as outbursts. My outbursts, however, are not nearly as bad as they used to be. My outbursts, I have learned a lot of self-control with my anger, and I am actually off medication. And I'm healthy. I'm actually healthy. The reason I'm telling this is because when I was younger, I never thought I would be successful. Never. I never thought I would be able to succeed because my entire life I was told I wouldn't. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to prove everybody wrong, but I never believed I would. And if you are going through what I'm going through, if you've been diagnosed with what I've diagnosed, it's not the end. There is a way to get over it. There is a way to learn how to handle the way of thinking and understand it. But it does come down to some serious decisions you have to make. For me, my biggest decision was I wanted a family. I didn't have a family growing up. I wanted a family. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to be loved. And I knew that if I wanted that, there were certain characteristics I could not continue to carry on. This is honestly a really tough video for me to make because I already know there's gonna be a lot of people that probably troll it. And I mean, if you troll this video, I don't give a shit, man. Go fuck off. As for my daughter, as of recently, she's reached out and got in contact. I've actually been able to mend some bridges with my ex, who is her mom. Her grandma's still a bitch. Her grandma can still go fuck off in hell. But because her grandma still accuses me of that, oh my goodness, she still accuses me of it. I know, because I see on the Facebook about how I fucking did this and I did that and I did this, and it's like, shut the fuck up. If I had ever done those things, there's no way I could be in Japan. Number one, it's easy to catch. I'd be arrested. I have a felon on me. You can't leave the country if you are if you are a sex offender, or if you have a felony. Nor could I have actually worked in the elementary school system to finish my degree with student teaching. I had to get my fingerprints done to prove I didn't have a record of a criminal past. Which, again, something like that would be so easy to prove. But if you've been, like, if you've been, I'll say up my words. This isn't scripted. This is really kind of just emotional for me. I guess I just want to say, if you have found yourself, you know, in a situation similar where you think it's normal to be the only one in your family who gets beat, to be the only one in your family who gets constantly mocked and made fun of and ridiculed and excluded, it's not normal. That's not normal. And if you're a teenager watching this and that's how you're being treated now, man, it's not fucking normal. There's not much you can do about it, but it ain't fucking normal. Don't think it's normal. That is abuse, 100%. And I feel for you because I've been there. I know that feeling. And if you're suffering from, borderline personality disorder like I am, or, it's just like you find yourself having some crazy ass thoughts like I do, man. Like I get some crazy ass thoughts. I'm just like, what the fuck did those come from? I wake up and I'm like, dude, what the fuck was that dream about? Holy shit. It was a weird ass dream. My imagination is still really big. Still have a really big imagination. It's insane how, like, I'm 33 years old, man. It's insane how far my imagination can go at times. But in short, if you're suffering from this, if you have borderline personality disorder, or if you are suffering from the childhood that I suffered from, you can be successful. You can succeed. You should succeed. The greatest way to win at this game, because for me it's a game now, and it's all a fucking game. And the only way to win at the game is to succeed. It doesn't matter what happens to them. Whatever happens to them, it's always going to be your fucking fault. Even to this day, when my brothers still blame me for stupid ass shit that I don't even live. I haven't been back in the States for 7 years. I still get blamed for shit by my family. So it's not about them. It's about you. And you fucking succeed. Push yourself hard. Go to school. Go to college. It doesn't matter what you have. You can succeed. You can fulfill your dream. Fulfill your dream. Obtain what you can do and show those who look down on you, who mistreat you, who ignore you, who neglect you, that they were wrong. Again, this is a very personal video. I mean, I would really prefer, like, I'm happy now, guys. Like, I'm really happy. This is just an emotional video because I have to dive into my past that I've been dealing with for the last, again, 2 months. It took me a long time. It took me 28 years to come out about being sexually abused. I mean, like, seriously, 28 years about it. And I'm not going to talk about the abuse because it's disgusting, and I don't know who the fuck would want to hear about the details of it. But it was 100% abuse. And it took me 28 years to come out on that one. And that one has fucked my head a lot, actually. Honestly, I've had a lot of fucked problems because of that shit. But the main point of this video is to get it out, and if you're going through something like this, to know you're not the only person. It's not the end of the world. You can succeed. It was hard for me. It was rough. And it's going to be rough for you too. I mean, hell, you don't even have borderline personality disorder, man. You can have anything. You can have schizophrenia. You can have, you know, anything. The fact is, you can succeed. Now, I guarantee I'm going to get them thumbs down because there's always some assholes that go around thumbs down every damn video just because they're dickholes. But the one thing I would request is, I mean, just like, I'm happy. I mean, I've been successful. I don't really need inspirational comments for me totally. I prefer no religious comments. This video is not for me to be like, oh, look how amazing I am. No, it's not. This video is about, this is what I went through, but I was able to succeed in my life. And if you're going through the same thing, you can too. I really hope that this video at least can reach one person who is suffering or going through something similar to what I did, and it helps them, to give them hope and encourage them to do the best they can. Again, this is, I know, a very odd video for me to post on this YouTube channel, and this is probably the only time I'm going to be this honest about myself. My name is Caleb Lopez. I'm 33 years old. I suffer from borderline personality disorder. I suffered from constant abuse as a child, and even to this day, no one in my family will give me an answer to why they did it. But in the end, that doesn't matter because I succeeded. And if I succeeded, you can succeed too. With that, guys, this is probably the only time I do something this personal. If you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I will be more than happy to reply if you need, about anything. This is my open video of being open to myself. If you have any questions at all, please post them. I will reply. This is Siegfried Chulainn signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video.